On this episode of RC Kicks, we're back checking out the brand new Cougar that's just dropped from Schumacher Racing. Deliveries of these are going out and people are starting to build them. So what's it like to build and run? Let's find out. Hit it, Charlie! So we're back looking at the brand new Cougar from Schumacher Racing. When I say brand new, I mean it's a re-release. So it's a very vintage buggy, but it's new that you can get your hands on it today. Now this is a kit, it's not ready to run, so you have to build it yourself. Let's do this!
RC is a serious business. Well, 80s, man. The best vintage. You want a sniff?
I don't know. But you're looking at about 1 to 2 days to build it up, cut out the body, paint it up, and away you go. So there is a little bit of effort that you have to put in before you can take it out and blast it. But it is well worth doing. Now, I wouldn't recommend this as a first-time kit if you've never built an RC car before. If you've done 1 or 2 others, this is definitely one you might be interested in, especially if you love your vintage stuff, or you want to get into some vintage racing, or you just want to experience building some old vintage cars that are now becoming very popular in the RC market. So this is a 2-wheel drive kit, so it's a little bit simpler. There isn't as much to do with the running gear, but all in all it goes together really nicely. There is a few challenging aspects to it. The rear drive shafts can be a pain. Use the tool provided, it does make life easier. As for the shocks, well, you need needle nose pliers to put the little clip in the bottom. So yeah, figure that one out yourself. Yeah, you can do it with a set of tweezers, but watch out you don't stab yourself in the fingers. That can be a bit of a faff. And as for the cool option wing where it flexes back, yeah, getting the rubber bands through the pin, yeah, a little bit fussy. But hey, it all adds character, right? So you've got to take that into account that this is an older design, so it's probably not as friendly as the sort of latest and greatest modern stuff, but I really enjoy building it. It was brilliant fun, and I'm itching to take it out, which is what we're going to do in today's show. But before we do that, let's just go over some of the features of the buggy. It's 2-wheel drive, obviously. It's a stamped aluminium chassis, or aluminum, depending on what part of the world you live in. It has knobbly front tyres and rear tyres because tracks back in the day were dirt or grass. None of this smooth AstroTurf larky of today. Also, it has independent front and rear suspension. Ooh. As well as a big wing. It has fibre reinforced belts. Also, it has 14 ball differential that was actually invented by Cecil Schumacher. Clever boy. Not only that, he invented this. Now that's one thing that is very refreshing, is just the amount of space you get inside to put your electronics. It seems to be a bit of a trend that new chassis that are coming out have less and less space for electronics and you have to shoehorn them in. Well, not in this. You can fit just about anything you can think of. Also, it will run shorty lipo packs or NIMH, just like I have here. All you got to do is take the top off, flip it over, job's a good one. You can fit NIMH. You can fit shorty packs. You can put 2S Tamiya shape lipo batteries. It's a little bit tight on each end, so I wouldn't really recommend it, but you can. But these 3S are just a little bit too long. But I think if you hunt it around, you might be able to find a 3S battery that fits in this, as you only need about another mil on each end and it would drop into place. But why would you want to run 3S in a buggy like this? That would be insane. As for saddle packs, not out of the box, but I think it is possible. You could actually have them this way around and then have 2, but the actual battery mechanism that comes with it is not going to work. So you'll have to get your Blue Peter on, but it would be possible. The holes are there. If you'd like to know more about the batteries here, well, Google them, because that's kind of what you have to do these days. Obviously. Yes, I know it's got a 25 kilo servo in it. No, you don't need a 25 kilo servo in this. And the reason I have it in this is because that's all I had, because I haven't bought any new ones, because I'm a cheapskate. But check out the funky vintage electronic speed controller. Limitless. Ooh. It's also got a 6-channel receiver in it. You don't need one of them either. So the Cougar was a replacement for the Top Cat. Now they do look very similar, but there is a few things that are different. Now the Top Cat did come out about 5 years ago, I'm guessing, and was discontinued almost 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half. And we've been waiting patiently for a new re-release of a vintage buggy, which is what we got today. Now they share the same chassis, but the front end has been changed. The front end on the old Top Cat was a marvelous bit of engineering, but it did have a few flaws. It had the crashback system, so when you smashed into things like tables, chairs, walls, that kind of stuff, you don't rip your arm straight off. Well, that's gone, as well as the lay down shocks, which unfortunately looks much better, but apparently I've been told is a lot harder to dial in when you're trying to race. So they defaulted back to a pretty standard front end, which is what we've got here. Now it is possible to take your Top Cat and upgrade it to a Cougar, or vice versa, if you can get hold of the parts, because the chassis themselves are exactly the same. They've got the same holes. Well, I think they have anyway. Yes, of course, they're the same. So I think that pretty much covers it. So let's take them out and put them around the Buggy track and see if we can set a time. Well, Thundershot 14:37, no problem. Let's see what they can do. So the app is set and we're ready to go. Now the first thing you can tell is it's quite whiny. I think the pinion that I'm using is a little bit naff and I think it's a bit worn out. So I plan on ordering 2 new pinions for this and the Top Cat. I'm not sure what size pinion I'll get first. It's quite tight, so I'll probably go quite punchy with it. I don't really need massive top ends on a tight track like this. Now, a big part of it is getting the steering to be very reactive and very tight. Because the track is so small, getting the steering so I can turn in is going to save me loads of time. I think the time I'm losing is all on the hairpin bends, especially at the end. So the servo that I'm using is not as good as it needs to be. I think to get some real good times around this track, I need to invest in a much faster servo. It was fun to drive. I think the shock oil in the front is still a little bit too heavy, so I'm going to lighten that as well. It felt okay, but I think I can soften it up a little bit. Schumacher Cougar did it in 13:20. 13.2 seconds. 13.2 seconds. It is well above the Thundershot, but that was in the wet, even though that's 4-wheel drive and this is 2-wheel drive. But how did the Top Cat go? Let's find out. So let's take a look at the Top Cat. Now the first thing you can notice, well, I don't know whether you can, but it runs on much faster. It's much smoother. But then you can kind of understand it because I've upgraded the gearbox in this. This has a Muzzoom Models upgraded gearbox with a slipper clutch fitted in it. And it's definitely a much smoother experience. Now I'll probably end up going with the Pro transmission in the Cougar. Now another thing that's different in this versus the Cougar is the battery position in the Cougar is at the back of the chassis, but in this I have the battery in the center. I personally prefer that location, so I'm going to change the Cougar and move the battery to the middle, pushing more weight forward. When you're running quite a lot of power in these 2-wheel drive cars, it's just not trying to lift the nose all the time. This Top Cat also has the brass plate in the front to push some weight right over the nose, and it definitely helps, especially on the corners, because you're going so fast and you're pulling up the nose. When you turn in, it doesn't dig in as much and turn as sharp as you want, and on a track as tight as this, that's exactly what I want. Otherwise I'm just wasting time. Right now, between the two, the Top Cat feels way more dialed in, but there isn't that much in it, to be fair. I think with a little bit of fettling, I can get the Cougar well up to what the Top Cat can do. But the Top Cat was a nicer drive. So the Top Cat did it in 13.1 seconds. The Top Cat goes to the top of the charts, but why is it 0.1 faster than the Cougar? Well, I just need to dial it in a little bit more. I think I'm doing both of them a bit of an injustice, as I think I need to put some more modern electronics in these and some faster servos. As these are going to be my actual driving cars, I think it's worth investing in some modern electronics. Anyway, thanks so much. Please like and subscribe. Comment below, which one would you have? Personally, I think I like the Top Cat, but mainly because of that front end. But if you're going to be doing some proper racing, you probably want to get a Cougar. Hold on, before you disappear, wouldn't you like to watch an RC10 Wells car being built? A vintage two-wheel icon? Well, click on this one here. Not for you. What about a C11 Le Mans car? Click here. Or if you really want to do us a favour, subscribe. Yeah, here. Click on that to subscribe. And I'll see you over here or there shortly.